So have you ever been scrolling online and just had that feeling that you're not really the customer, you're the product? That all your data, your content, it's not really yours? Well, today we're diving into a really different vision for the internet, something people are calling Web4, and it's all built around one single powerful idea: digital sovereignty.
Look, right now, the web pretty much runs on a simple, kind of creepy deal. If the service is free, it's because you are the product. It's your data, your attention, your creations. They're all just things being bought and sold. This new vision, though, it flips that script completely. We're talking about moving from a world where you're the product to one where you're the owner.
But to really get where we're going, we have to look at where we are. And right now, we're living inside what you could call the internet's walled garden. Just think about the big platforms you use every single day. They own the space, they make all the rules, and they control every last bit of data that gets created inside their walls.
This quote from the source material just nails it. It calls creators temporary tenants. And that's exactly what it feels like, right? You're basically just renting your digital space, and at any moment, you could get kicked out or have your voice turned down, all based on some rules that you have absolutely no say in.
Okay, so what's the escape plan from this walled garden? Well, it's a new mission, a whole new philosophy that's built on that one word, sovereignty. The whole point is to build the tech that lets us stop just using the internet and start actually owning our little piece of it.
So what is digital sovereignty when you get right down to it? Here's the most important part. It's the simple idea that you, or your brand, or your company should have real, true ownership and, this is the key, control over your online world. Your data, your community, it's not borrowed anymore. It's owned.
That all sounds amazing, but you're probably wondering, how does it actually happen? How does it work? So let's get into the nitty-gritty and look at the actual building blocks, the tech that's designed to make all this digital ownership stuff a reality. So this whole new vision is built from the ground up on 4 different layers, all working together. It literally starts with the physical computer servers and goes all the way up to the apps you'd actually use. So let's break them down, one by one. Everything, and I mean everything, starts at the physical layer. Because, let's be honest, you can't really own your digital stuff if your data is living on a server farm owned by someone else. Technologies like Arctic and WYNIX are all about giving you private storage and hardware so you're physically independent from big tech. All right, next up we've got the access layer. This is built around something called UIID, which stands for Universal Integrated Identity. The easiest way to think about this is like your own universal passport for this new web. It's one single identity that you, and only you, control across the entire system. And this is where it gets really cool and practical. With UIID, you get things like a passwordless world, which gets rid of a massive security headache. You can also prove things privately using what's called zero-knowledge proofs. That's basically a way to prove something is true, like say you're over 21, without actually revealing your birth date. And for businesses, it creates a permanent, verified digital identity. Layer number 3 is the network layer, powered by a system called ATRIUM. Now this brings in a really powerful concept, social network as a service. So instead of just building an app that lives on someone else's platform, this lets any group launch its own fully branded social network. You get total control over the brand, the algorithm, the whole experience. And finally, at the very top, you have the application layer, which is called Thrive. This gives you all the essential tools you need to run a business or a community. But here's the kicker. It gets rid of the success tax. You know how on most platforms, the more successful you get, the more money they take from you? Yeah, this model is built to kill that idea. No more penalties for growing. Okay, so we've seen how all the tech fits together. But why would a creator or a business actually choose to build here? What's the real tangible value of owning your digital world? Let's talk about the advantages. Well, the first and most obvious advantage is money. This model completely throws out the 30% or sometimes even more gatekeeper tax that's just become normal on all the big platforms. The money you make goes to you. There's no middleman standing at the gate demanding a cut just to let you in. The next huge advantage is algorithm independence. Right now, we're all kind of stuck with these mysterious algorithms, dealing with our reach being throttled or the dreaded shadow ban. But in an ownership model, you control the algorithm. It means you get a direct, honest-to-goodness connection with your community, no filters. And this, right here, gets to the absolute heart of it. It's about your data. In this kind of model, your community's data isn't a resource to be scraped up and sold off to advertisers. No,
It becomes a protected asset that belongs to you, the owner of the network, to be used to make your community better.
So when you start putting all these pieces together, the tech stack, the financial freedom, the control over your data, you realize it's pointing to a massive shift in how we think about our digital lives. We're moving away from being just passive consumers to being active creators, and maybe most importantly, to being owners.
The source material really says it best. The whole idea of just being a user, someone who's just subject to the whims of a giant platform, that era is coming to an end. We are entering the era of the owner.
And that really brings us to the final and most important question. It's the whole point of this new vision for the internet. If all the walls came down, if you had complete and total ownership and control over your digital space, what would you build?